Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer and career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. From career struggles and anxiety to feeling like nothing is ever going to work out, I'm here to explore all the messy stuff that breaks us down and builds us up. So join me as we transform ourselves and finally ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It has been a very hot minute. I have tried to record. And it hasn't gone well. And I'm going to start with a life update, a sad update, but we're not staying sad. But that is why I haven't really wanted to come on. There's been so much going on. I feel like my voice is going to be a bit rough. I'm out of practice. I will probably say 5 billion times, but I feel like this is the episode I just kind of need to get out so I can get back into the podcast, which I do want to do from if I zoom out, that this is something I absolutely want to keep going and I want it to evolve. I want the show to evolve, but I kind of got sidetracked or life happens. And it's very funny after coming off, hitting that 100 episode mark and working really hard to get that and being so consistent. And consistency is so important to me. And then I just kind of dropped everything and I had to drop everything. I didn't feel like making any kind of announcement. It's not like, when you're a small podcast, you don't have to really explain anything. It's not like people are wanting to know necessarily what's up. Maybe they do. I've kind of also been off social media, had to take a break. I've kind of done a couple posts since, but I'm really struggling with social media. I'm not really wanting to be there at all. I'm finding that it's just, weighing me down. So what happened was in December, I had pre-recorded a bunch of episodes. So the podcast kind of just kept going. But the beginning of December, our beloved dog passed away. And anyway, I'm just going to keep going. So she was old, she was a senior girl. And we knew this was coming. Well, actually, I kind of did. It was a bit more of a shock to my husband, but for any dog mom, any mom really, I know she was not a child, but any woman who cares for something just knows what's going on. The mother's intuition is very strong. And I knew we were kind of getting to the end. And so she passed away December 7th, very suddenly, which is actually how I knew it was going to go down. I had a feeling that it was just going to be a very sudden, change and that it was just going to turn on a dime. And that's in a way the best way. But and I was in anticipatory grief for months, probably almost 2 years, to be honest, because in 2023, I didn't think she was going to make it. We didn't think she was going to make it to the end of 2023. She had had a lot of health issues for her whole life, and she was a rescue. We had adopted her from Virginia. We saw her on the North American Dachshund Rescue site. And, well, I did. I was the one stalking all the sites. About 4 months after our other dog, we had another dachshund who we had for 15 and a half years. And so I saw her, Dolly, on this website. I knew that was my next dog. That was she was meant to be ours and in our household. So we drove 16 hours to go adopt her, and it was a really long, crazy story and amazing. So I guess we had Dolly just under 10 years, and I knew the day was going to come soon. So I was in anticipatory grief. She was getting very senior. Didn't think she'd make it to the end of 2023. She did. She did this crazy 180 turnaround. It was she changed so much and became so much better. Even our neighbor couldn't believe it. They're like, what did happen to this dog? So she was this dog that kept bouncing back. And one of the big lessons from her, for sure, was that, we can shift, change, and heal. And I honestly do believe in miracles because of her, because just so many things happened that I just couldn't believe happened if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. But I'd been in, I guess, since 2023, kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. And I'm sure that had a huge amount to do with, I talked about high cortisol and all that stuff. And I was just stressed all the time because for me, nothing brings me, because I'm so emotionally connected to animals, nothing brings me more stress than an animal who's not well. And nothing also brings me more joy. It's this double-edged sword. It's the yin and yang. I think everything is really that. I think the yin yang symbol actually just does represent everything in the world. That 50-50. So it was just a lot going on. And here's the thing, so much of my time and energy was really revolving around the dog, and I would not have it any other way. And I was so happy and so grateful I could be home. I was working from home since 2021 after I left my crazy corporate job, which, I have the Toxic Boss series. So I was just really happy to be home. But the day came and it was devastating, as obviously, just again, someone who, if you're like, Alana, would you like to go for dinner for this really nice, smart person? Or would you like to go to dinner with this otter? I'd be like, I'm going with the otter. And they're like, well, the otter is slightly unhinged. He might bite you. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going with the otter. I just prefer to hang out with animals. Some people are like that. So, when you lose a soul dog, basically, it's very hard. But I was really happy that I was able to sit in the grief, and the grief is being intense. And it's just not just the dog in the last while, but I guess Declan and I just being pummeled with loss from all angles. And really, the dog Dolly situation was devastating. But I did manage to sit in the grief. For me, it just meant that everything kind of had to stop, and I had to be okay with everything stopping as someone who was so good at going forward. I kept my job going, my work, whatever had to be done to just pay the bills, just kept going. Remember the day after she died, I had to get on a Teams call with some people, and Dec's like, I don't know how you're doing this. And I was like, you go into robot mode. And I figured if I started to need to cry, then I would just pretend the video wasn't working, that kind of thing, so, or the internet connection dropped. I just kind of pushed through. And I would say one of the things that's from being a high achieving overachiever, I would say workaholic for so much of my life, it does make it easy to fall into that pattern because work becomes a safety net. It becomes comfortable. You can numb out with work. So that's what I did. I think I still have been doing that. I've been working like a crazy person. Just took on projects, whereas in 2025, I really said no to a lot of things. And then I've just been kind of taking on more stuff, and it's a distraction, and that's fine. It's also made it harder to do the podcast and things where I need to really be present. I can just be half present and, design whatever I need to design. Probably could do it with my eyes closed, to be honest. Some of the things I do now, because I've been doing it so long, which is a great position to be in a way. So we had, so much loss and had to sit in some of the grief, and I just kept working. But any goal that I had to just drop off, personal goal. I had a BHAG I was working on. I had a small whiteboard. I have a small whiteboard in my office, just top line, bigger goals that I'm working on. Could be a bigger client project or some of the stuff I want to do for myself or for the podcast. And I remember just being angry at this whiteboard. I just was like, you're haunting me. I can't do any of this stuff. and I just erased it. And I like cleaned that board till it was like, I took rubbing alcohol and just like, just took everything off. And it's still sitting there completely blank. I can't really see doing any, I'm trying to do some stuff. And there is a point where you do have to force yourself. And I know people are talking all the time on Instagram, like, if I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to do it. And you have to be in the flow. And I definitely, flow is always my goal. But it's kind of like when you haven't been to the gym in a long time and you just literally have to drag your butt to the gym and do something. So I'm kind of getting that point now where it's like I got to force myself. And not to say that I'm forcing myself to be here, but it's like breaking the seal and being like, okay, I can do this again. Because the weirdest thing happened in the grief, which is overwhelming. Anyone who's gone through loss. I mean, I've lost a dog before, so I kind of knew what to go through and that I would feel okay again. It wasn't sitting there like I have nothing to live for or like there's just nothing good in life anymore. Nothing like that, just sadness, like nothing, just sad. But it was like all the things I did just suddenly, all the doors closed. Like I couldn't even remember being a podcaster. I couldn't even remember that I had a podcast. Like I could rationally be like, okay, here's my podcast. I can see it on Spotify or whatever. But I don't remember doing it. And it was like, it was all hazy. And I was like, why am I doing this? What do I have to say? What's the point of this? Just very strange, so disconnected from everything. And I know the podcast will evolve. There's things that will shift and change. I don't know what that looks like though. And then I've had to be okay with not knowing what that's going to look like. Because I still like love so many of the topics we're talking about. And part of what is bringing me back now is like, anger is an amazing emotion sometimes, guys. It just gets you back doing things. Like you want to be fired up. Apathy is what you have to be scared of. And that's when, you're in severe grief. You do go into an apathetic state where you can't really do much. You don't care about much. But anger kind of is good. It gets you going. And I'll do a separate episode of work. Someone shared a work story. Well, I got a lot of good work stories, but one particular story about someone shared a job like, oh, we're looking for this person, customer service role. I said, great, what does it pay? And they're like $45,000 and I lost my shit. I was like, no Canadian can live off that. Like, this is insane. So I got a bit fired up, which is good. So I was like, okay, I got to talk about that on the podcast. And slowly what started happening is that I did start getting ideas. It was actually almost annoying. I was like, I don't actually want any ideas right now. But I started getting some ideas together and I have a running notes. And before I knew it, kind of looking at a page of notes right now, and I have about 10 episode ideas. So that I've said this before and I have a blog about this. You have to do what keeps bubbling up. And because the ideas started to bubble up, I was like, okay, we're not done here. My podcast producer was so great. I was just like, I'm just not doing the podcast right now. And I just kind of shut it down. And she's like, okay, you need to do what you need to do. It's your podcast. You get to do this. And I, in a way, felt irresponsible. And I couldn't announce anything on Instagram. I just can't seem to, I'm not a fan of those Instagram posts that announce like their dog died because I talk a little bit about Dolly on the Instagram, or I post about her, and I just couldn't bring myself to do that post. Part of me being the empath thinks about all the people scrolling through and then they're suddenly going to see this sad news. It's like, and the truth is very few people on Instagram are my actual real friends who actually care about my dog or what happened to her, what happened to me because of what happened to her. So that's the truth. So I just couldn't bring myself to do that kind of thing or give any kind of update. This will be the update. And it's weird because I have a podcast, but I'm actually incredibly private. I need a lot of time to process things before I share it. And that's why so many of the stories on the podcast are from like years ago, because I've had to go through it, analyze it, reflect on it, process it, and then learn the lesson, and then I can share it. And I think that's actually the best time to share a story for me. But I've had to learn, that so I'm sharing probably a little earlier than I would. It's been like just about 4 months. And I need to internally process things. I have like a newer friend. We've only been friends maybe 4 years, and she's amazing. And she hasn't seen me kind of go through something difficult like this. And so she was like, we can talk it out. I'm free today. We can talk it out. And I'm not a verbal processor. I don't want to talk about things. I need to do it on my own. I need to go into the forest and the park and the trees and just kind of sit with things and figure things out and be very quiet about it, actually. And the years of meditation have really helped that. I'm not scared to sit with my thoughts, to sit with the pain, the only way through something is to sit in it. And I've definitely been through some, like most people, a lot of loss. But what was just being so crazy about the last phase, first of all, for anyone who follows like astrology or energetic cycles, the end of 2025 was the end of year 9. It's a big closure. And I think in 2025, we entered the age of Aquarius, right? So I've just started looking at this, and there was so much ending in 2025. So many things ended, and we're going into a new, fresh cycle. But and this is the year of the fire horse. Just a lot of change. But I won't really share his stories. But Declan, we had Dolly, devastating. He's had 3 more people pass away in Ireland. He's Irish. A lot of his family, friends, and schoolmates are back there. So he's just had 3, and then actually literally this morning, probably an hour ago, he just told me, I'm recording in the morning, which I never do. That's also why I'm just kind of sitting here doing it. Someone else his age has just passed away in Ireland. So it's just the amount of loss has been just wild. So from December to now, it was obviously winter. This was what we were doing. We would get through the workday. By 5 o'clock, it'd be dark out because we're in Canada and we just had a brutal winter. Like everyone was in full hibernation mode. Declan would make a fire. We are so lucky to have an actual wood burning fireplace because our house is from the 60s. So a lot of houses have them in our area, and fire is just so therapeutic. Any natural element is therapeutic. So Declan would make a fire. We would sit down, watch one of our YouTube podcasts that we like, then have dinner and watch a TV show and go to bed at 9:30. I was doing nothing in the evenings, just flaking out, watching TV, eating, and just sitting by the fire. There was nothing else going on with our lives. That's what we had to do. We didn't want to go out. And so this leads me to one of the secrets to happiness. This is what I figured out. It really became crystal clear. And that is not needing to be understood. I do think this is one of the secrets to happiness. Not needing to be understood. I'm not talking about not needing to be seen. We need to be witnessed. Our pains need to be witnessed. Our experiences need to be witnessed. We all have those people in our life that just ignore our accomplishments, or is this just me? or ignore things in our life and don't pay any attention. I don't have very many, but there are still a few in my life. But the not needing to be understood is when you just go through something, and grief really brings this to the surface because a lot of people don't know how to process grief. We're also just not taught how to process it. And you're just going to go through stuff, and you're going to be doing weird things, and your behaviors will change, and people won't get it. I remember 10 days after Dolly passed, I was supposed to go to a dinner at a restaurant, and I just was I'm not going. And I'm never the person to cancel and going to something. When I say I'm going, I generally commit. That was something that was really instilled by my mom, and I think it's a great quality to have. I'm just I'm going to do this, even if I don't feel like it. But this was a time I couldn't, because it was also people that wasn't close friends going to be at the dinner, and I was going to have to really perform, And I was I'm not doing it. And I could tell the person was disappointed. I was I don't need you to understand that I am too sad to go for dinner. I need to sit with my emotions and experience them. And I don't need anyone to understand the weirdness that I'm going through, or what I want to do, what I don't want to do. And when you can let go of needing to be understood, I think it is so healing, actually. Because when you think about it, needing to be understood, you don't understand, that that emotion or that kind of expression, to me, feels very much like a angsty teenager vibe, right? It's hands on the hips. You don't understand. Here's the thing. Why do we need people to understand? And it's sometimes us wanting people to just experience things the way we experience it. And yes, we want empathy. And yes, we have to surround ourselves with people that have had similar experiences so that we can process it. Totally. Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about my loss of my dog with someone who's never owned a dog and doesn't care about animals. So yeah, you need to commiserate with people that have been through something similar. But so much of life is just no one's going to understand what you're going through. No one's going to understand why you wanted to get married or didn't want to get married, or you wanted to buy a house or you wanted to move to Costa Rica. People are not going to understand what you do. And especially this is with your career, the career choices you make, people are not going to understand it. And especially generational differences, like, if you had parents that were like, you just have to grow up, go to college, get a degree, and get a job and stay in that job forever. They're not going to understand you wanted to be a digital nomad and doing all the things and like being okay with that. And it's really comes down to full acceptance mode. And I really was trying to step into acceptance mode because I knew people in my life would not understand about the dog loss. They've never experienced the loss of someone they love, a creature that they love unconditionally. And it's very interesting when you do research grieving pets, what comes up, because it is a very different grief than a human. I'm not saying it's not as hard or that it's harder necessarily. It's just different because apparently it does fire the love we have in an animal. And I'm just going to summarize this because I'm not great at quoting scientific things, but the connection we have with an animal does fire different synapses in the brain that we don't have with humans. So it's different, and there's more of them that are fired. And one of the great things about a pet relationship is that it's not just unconditional love, but unconditional acceptance. It's very different. So it's very hard. But you have to go through it because you signed up for that, right? So, and then to make the story even crazier, this will be a separate episode because I'm definitely not ready to talk about it. We decided to foster a dog, which was really, I'm going to say if you're a highly sensitive person and empath, maybe not a great decision. And it's not like I regret it, but I'm going to say it was probably one of the hardest things I ever did. The dog's gone to a great home, but was brutal. So that was more grief. It was like, I couldn't, we are just being so pummeled with loss. We're just trying to make it through the day here and just, yeah, especially, and just me having to watch, my husband go through just an incredible amount of loss in the last little while is crazy. So that is the little bit of update. And, there are some episodes, as I said, in the works, but I am not guaranteeing that I will be here every week. I will try to do what I like to do, which is batch some episodes that they are consistent and can come out. And I will probably have some conversations coming up, but maybe not for a while, because here's the thing. I'm so not interested in being on social media and promoting the podcast. I don't know if that's really too fair to the guests, unless I come on it knowing that. If you listen to the last episode, which was with David Enlow, a photographer who was a pilot, I love that episode. That was the one episode I did record after Dolly passed, and I just kind of forced myself into it. And it's partly because that was in the calendar for literally 5 months. We had booked it out. And I really wanted to hear his story, and I made it through that episode. He's not really on social media, and I was like, this is amazing because I'll do some promotion, but I won't be hardcore hitting it out there. The lack of authenticity, the fakeness on social media is really hitting me hard. There's like an adverse reaction I'm having, and I do think it's really funny. It's kind of ties into the celebrity culture and my disdain for that. If you go back to that episode, I think it's 89. I couldn't believe this. That is the most downloaded solo episode of 2025 that I did. And I'm just ranting about how ridiculous celebrity culture is. And if we could just all unfollow all those crazy celebrities, that'd be great. Let's just do that, because it's making no sense that we're giving so much credence to these people. But yeah, so being on social media is not great. So having conversations with people and not promoting much doesn't feel great. So we'll see how that goes, unless a person like David who was on isn't really on Instagram, is just more sharing it with their newsletter and their friends. That feels kind of good to me. We'll see how this lands, where it all goes. But I can say that I am back and that there will be episodes to come. I'm looking forward to trying out some different kinds of episodes because why not? And thanks for tuning in. And I will also leave a great post on grieving for pets that I did find on Instagram. There is good stuff there. I'm going to put in the show notes just if you are going through or have gone through the loss of a pet. It does explain a lot of things to what I was talking about the loss and how that does affect your brain and the grief from that. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Good to be back. And till next time. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. Be sure to follow this podcast, visit alanarosa.com, and of course, share it so we can build each other up. And before I go, remember to be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.